When I was a kid, I always made everything. I mean, I was making forts and trees and making little stuffed animals, and I was just always making something. I had actually made a huge drawing and storyboard about how to make a flying suit. I was sure that I could make a suit that I could fly in. In college, I had a major in art, and I specialized in ceramics, and so I had a lot of ceramics background, firing, throwing, glazed materials and things like that. And as it turned out, all that experience came in really handy, because now I make all our prototype shapes and molds for the glass by hand using my experience from college. After I got out of college, I never actually quite graduated, did some stuff with my ceramics, and then met a guy who was into stained glass. And I just said, wow, this is the greatest thing in the world. At the same time, I saw an interesting piece in an antique shop, and I said, how did they do that? So I went to the library, got a bunch of books out on glass. I even called the Corning Museum and got some books from them on glasswork, and kind of stumbled upon glass fusing by accident. Then I was a cleaning lady. I was doing all kinds of things to support my art habit. I needed to make money to live, so I cleaned houses during the day. But I would come home at night, and I would just run up to the studio and take out my stuff and start sticking things in the kiln and see what it did. And I thought, okay, I'm going to be able to translate all of this color and glass and melt it together and make this fabulous lamp in like a quarter of the time, was what my initial intent was. And time passed, and the lamp never materialized. I'd lift the kiln up and I go, ugh, what is that thing in there? And so the lamps never quite made it, but the plates did. The thought of making my plates all week long and then going to craft shows on the weekends just didn't sit with me. So I decided to try the wholesale market. It meant a huge upfront investment, like a year's worth of savings, and I just kind of bit the bullet and said, well, this is it. Either I'm going to do it or I'm not going to do it. I made money. It was like the most amazing thing in the entire free world. I couldn't believe it. Came back to my studio, my meager little studio, and started making the plates. Quit my cleaning jobs because I didn't have enough time. And so I got them all shipped out. I was like, well, this is great. And lo and behold, they ordered more. Part of the success of the company is that I let people do what they do best. And I try and just give a little bit of guidance. I do spot check, and I do go around, interact with people. I think the most important thing that I do for the people that work here is I stay connected with them, and I listen to them, and I hear what they're saying, and I listen to their suggestions of ways to make it better.
In order to produce a Peggy Karr Glass plate, what you need is a set of stencils with a drawing. The drawing is laid down first on a light box.
We start out by getting the correct size piece of glass. We line it up on the drawing so that we can line up all of our stencils and correctly enamel our plate.
We buy our glass from Canada because of the clear color. The same company makes glass in New Jersey. They call it the exact same glass, but it's more green, so we buy the clear glass from Canada and pay the extra money. The glass is all cut by hand. Most of it's cut into circles or squares or rectangles and all the various shapes. And all of our product has two pieces of glass, a base piece and then the top sheet.
We then use cardboard stencils with holes cut out corresponding to the colors and the pattern that's on the drawing beneath the glass. When we first started the company, we used to cut all those stencils by hand. And I have the calluses on my hands to show for it. It was a tedious process. We then hired this guy. His name was Billy. He was the greatest thing since sliced bread. He said, you know, you should put this stuff on computer, because what would happen if you ever had a fire? You'd lose everything. So he said, you know, you're probably right. We started entering all the stuff into a computer, and we then got a laser cutter, and it just opened the doors for design. We were then able to do so many things that we had never done before. The colors are actually fine ground glass with pigments and frits added, and so they're sifted onto the glass using handheld sifters, and you actually tap and sift the colors down, and then you very gently lift the stencil up, and then you lay the next stencil down and put on another layer of color. The designs have up to 9 or 10 stencils. To took me about 3 or 4 years and thousands of experiments, but I actually developed all of our own colors. That's the thing that I'm probably the most proud of.
After each piece is decorated, it's taken to the kiln room. It's loaded onto either a metal or ceramic mold and put in the kiln. It's fired to about 1600 degrees. It actually all fuses together into one piece of glass, and then it takes the shape of the mold. It slumps into the mold.
The plate comes out in the shape of the mold, much more brilliant in color.
After that, each piece is cleaned and washed. It's taken through an inspection, a quality control inspection. Each piece is then signed with a studio signature. It's PKG for Peggy Karr Glass, and then the year.
In order to do any plate, you have to do a lot of research. First of all, part of that process is figuring out what it is, what kind of subjects we want to cover in our line. We look at a lot of magazines to see, what is being covered in the magazines, because this is an easy way to know what people are interested in. Also, my job a lot of times is to step back and try to see Peggy Karr Glass in the larger context of who we are, who we want to be, who our clients are, and are we serving our clients by giving them what it seems to be they want.
It's not just what I like, it's what other people like. So when I go to a show or I'm with a customer or just talking with friends, I get a lot of information and a lot of suggestions like, you should try this, you should try that, and that's where a lot of the inspiration comes from.
Okay.
You know what I wouldn't mind seeing is when if you do it again.
There are two ways of working. A lot of us like to do initial hand sketches of the subject. Some of us work directly in the computers. It depends on what you're more comfortable with, and then we start in the computer translating this to vector artwork, so our laser cutter can read our design and translate it into the stencil that we need for the process. And basically, it's the whole world is our research library, because a lot of window shopping goes on, and if we see something we like, it's like we stop, we look, we kind of try to analyze our emotional response to these images, and hoping that we're a good filter for what our clients would like to see on our plates.